Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in. Here's what we're going to be talking about today. Just weeks before the U.S. Supreme Court hears a major case that could redefine the scope of judicial power, Senator Chuck Grassley is ramping up his criticism of nationwide court injunctions by these rogue district judges. After over 40 years as a Democrat in California, a former sheriff says he's leaving to join the Republican Party, saying it's time to make California purple again. GOP Senators got some disappointing news from Georgia Senate hopeful Governor Brian Kemp as he announced yesterday he will not be running for the Senate next year, which was disappointing as Senate leaders saw the governor as a strong contender against Democrat Jon Ossoff. And a proposed Paris Mountain hotel was denied approval by a Travelers Rest City Council committee. The developer Landowner says they will still develop the site.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
In comments to Fox News, Senator Chuck Grassley, the longtime chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, said universal injunctions, rulings from a single federal judge that block policies nationwide. We've seen a lot of them in the last couple of months. Senator Grassley says that they're an unconstitutional abuse of judicial power. This remark, of course, following a D.C. district judge's decision to block President Donald Trump's executive order mandating voter ID and proof of citizenship for federal elections, a move that Senator Grassley said exemplifies judges acting as policymakers rather than adjudicators. And he's right. Grassley said judges are not policymakers, warning that allowing them to operate as such is very dangerous. Now, think about this for a minute. A D.C. district judge is trying to, or has temporarily blocked President Trump's executive order that would mandate voter ID and proof of citizenship for federal elections. Now, why is there even an argument about this? Why is anyone objecting to the idea that you should have to present a voter ID and proof of citizenship in order to register to vote and to be able to vote in federal elections? There's a lot of talk about the real ID that's going into effect soon. I haven't heard a lot of Democrats concerned about real IDs. Kind of similar, isn't it? It's okay that we have to go in and we have to prove that we are who we say we are to get a real ID or face the potential of being delayed if refused outright getting on an airplane, being able to travel. But there hasn't been an uproar among Democrats over this, has there? And that's taking effect, tomorrow. Senator Grassley said he's working to advance the Judicial Relief Clarification Act, which is aimed at ending the use of universal injunctions by limiting federal judges' power to issue decisions beyond their own district. He added that the upcoming May 15th Supreme Court hearing could offer a decisive ruling on the matter. And I hope it does, because this has gotten ridiculous what these judges are doing. The case that we're talking about centers on President Trump's executive order, which reinterprets birthright citizenship, a policy that stems from the 14th Amendment. The order sparked immediate legal challenges, of course, and was halted by federal judges in multiple states, including Massachusetts, Maryland, and Washington. Now, critics of the policy want to take you back to the 1898 precedent set by U.S. versus Wong Kim Ark, where the Supreme Court at the time ruled that children born in the U.S. to foreign parents, in this case Chinese immigrants, were U.S. citizens under the Constitution. President Trump and supporters argue that the 14th Amendment was specifically intended to apply to freed slaves after the Civil War and was never meant to guarantee citizenship to the children of undocumented immigrants. Senator Grassley's push to limit judicial reach has gained traction among a lot of conservatives in the Senate, thank goodness, particularly under Trump's administration, which has faced more than 60 universal injunctions since 2017, more than double those issued under previous administrations. He also took aim at a recent resolution which was introduced by Senator Dick Durbin, the Democrat from Illinois, urging President Trump to comply with all federal court rulings. Senator Grassley countered that the president shouldn't have to ask permission for more than 600 different district judges to manage the executive branch he was elected to lead. Very good point. He was not just elected, he was given a mandate to lead. And these judges are trying to block some of the things that he's doing that he promised us he would do, and that's why we sent him to the Oval Office again. Now, while Senator Grassley's bill is unlikely to pass through reconciliation due to the Senate budgetary rules, specifically the Byrd Rule, which prohibits non-budgetary measures from being attached to budget bills, he says that bipartisan support may still be achievable. Look, I don't care what party you are, you shouldn't want rogue judges to be allowed to do what they're doing right now. Grassley said, I hope to find a solution for that, and I hope that you and I can work out that together, directing his comments, of course, to colleagues across the aisle, talking to his Democrat colleagues. The Supreme Court's upcoming ruling could provide clarity on the use of these sweeping judicial blocks and either rein in or, God forbid, reaffirm one of the most powerful tools available to the federal bench. You know, I don't really care how they're reined back in, whether it's through a Supreme Court ruling, which I would hope that the justices recognize what a problem this is, to have these judges doing what they're doing to prevent President Trump from doing what we have elected him to do. If they don't do it, though, I do hope that the Senate will step in and will put some limits on what they can do. Somebody has to stop them. It's getting ridiculous, not only for what they're doing as far as slowing down progress, but think about how much money this is costing us. No telling how many millions of dollars our Department of Justice is having to spend to defend the president's executive orders. It's just getting ridiculous. And somebody, whether it's a Senate action or the U.S. Supreme Court, has to once and for all put this to a stop. Meanwhile, the Trump administration says it's going to pay illegals in the U.S. who've returned to their home country, who will return to their home country voluntarily, $1,000 as it pushes forward with its mass deportation agenda. The Department of Homeland Security said in a news release yesterday that it's also paying for travel assistance and that those people who use an app called CBP Home to tell the government that they plan to return home will be deprioritized for detention and removal by immigration enforcement. In other words, you download this app, you let the feds know that, hey, I'm going to do this voluntarily, then they're not going to detain you. They're not going to arrest you and hold you in some cell and then send you back on the next plane out. Secretary Kristi Noem said in a statement, if you're here illegally, Self-deportation is the best, safest, and most cost-effective way to leave the United States to avoid arrest. DHS is now offering illegal aliens financial travel assistance and a stipend to return to their home country through the CBP Home app. What do you think about this? What do you think about our federal government giving illegals money to leave? President Trump has made immigration enforcement, of course, and his mass deportation of immigrants the centerpiece of his second administration. He told us he was going to do it. He told us he was going to close the border. He has. He told us that he was then going to operate the largest deportation in our country's history. And he's trying to do that if the federal judges will let him. So this is sort of a unique idea. If you're going to be slowed down by these rogue judges, then why not come up with a program, a creative way that would convince some of the people here illegally who are probably quite nervous right now anyway. Think about it. If you're living here illegally and you know that any day you could be driving down the road, maybe you don't stop for a stop sign or you run a red light or something like that, you're pulled over for a routine traffic stop and suddenly you're on your way home. Well, you do the right thing and you let the federal government know, hey, look, I'll go voluntarily if you give me some help. You might just get that $1,000 plus travel expenses. Now, how much is that going to cost us to get rid of how many, 15 million, 20 million people that are here? Is it worth the money? You willing for your federal tax dollars to be spent like that? Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. You can text me as well. Are you ready for this? I dropped over 30 pounds on the PhD weight loss plan. No Ozempic, no shots, no meds. Look, I refuse to rely on prescriptions for life, and you probably feel the same. Joey Hudson here. Here's what Big Pharma won't tell you. Your body already makes GLP-1. That's the hormone that fights hunger. PhD helps your body produce it naturally, faster, and without side effects. With PhD, there's no muscle loss, no rebound weight gain, and no cravings. Just real, lasting weight loss the natural way. Right now, get a free body scan and personalized metabolic assessment. It takes 5 minutes and shows what's really happening inside your body. You'll walk out knowing how to flip your fat-burning switch. No shots needed. Don't trade your health for a quick fix. You can do this without Big Pharma and without the drugs. Plus 15% off when you fully commit to your program and the PhD Get Results Guarantee. Call now 864-644-1900. Start today. Call 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com. As we continue today's show, keep those emails coming, those text messages coming, and I love your messages as well on the MyPillow message line. Just simply call 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Leave me a message. Tell me what's on your mind, and always use promo code Joey when you go to mypillow.com and place those orders. There's still some great deals on the Giza Dream Sheets, the Percal bed sheets as well. For example, the Giza Dream Queen Size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price continues to be $69.99 until they're all gone when you use promo code Joey. King size only $10 more, $79.99. The Percal Queen Size normally $89.98. Your wholesale price when you use promo code Joey, $29.98. King size only $34.98. There's a lot of other great deals too. Just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio podcast listener special, and you'll see all the great deals that you'll get when you drop my name. Just use promo code Joey. Free shipping options are available. Again, these aren't going to last too much longer. He's getting low. When I was up there last week at the plant, the shelves were starting to get bare on the Giza Dream Sheet. So mypillow.com. You can call as well, 800-893-4059, 800-893-4059. Use promo code Joey. So last week I told you about Kamala Harris giving her first speech after losing the presidency miserably last November. I love to always say miserably. She gave her her first speech after last year's election. It was reportedly meant to be the first step in her comeback, in this great comeback that she's going to orchestrate. Now, there have been rumors of a possible gubernatorial run in California, and of course, the mention of her running for president again in 2028. how much you want to bet, and I'm not really a betting person, that she won't even consider running for governor of California. She's just playing with that idea. She has her eye on the Oval Office. She believes she's entitled to it. She believes that she was cheated somehow out of her legacy as being the first female, first black, or whatever she is, whatever's convenient for her in a particular situation, to be in the Oval Office. But last week, when she gave this first speech, and she's made some moves to indicate that sort of a trial balloon, if you will. Well, that trial balloon may have been popped. Some Democrat senators are stopping short of throwing their support behind Kamala Harris as a potential 2028 presidential candidate. This is according to a new report published late Monday afternoon. A Democrat senator who remained anonymous, of course, told The Hill no when asked if Harris should run again in 2028. Just a very blunt no. The senator told the outlet that Harris had her chance in 2024 before losing to President Donald Trump in November and doesn't care to give her another shot at it. Senator John Hickenlooper, from Colorado, Democrat, told news agencies when asked that he didn't see Harris as a front runner for the Democrat nomination, though he did say that the former vice president would bring a, quote, valuable perspective to the political debate. He went on to say, I think time will tell. What's going to happen over the next 6 to 18 months is going to be lots of Democrats having lots of different opinions about what our priorities should be. What are the values we have to put first? Now, some were more confident about Kamala Harris's chances in 2028. For example, Senator Martin Heinrich from New Mexico. He told The Hill that he was open to Harris running again, emphasizing that there would be an open process in the next presidential election. Now, I think what he's saying here, I think it's kind of code by saying, hey, I don't care if she runs. She's got to run in the primary. It's not going to be given to her like it was this last time. He said, I'm a big fan of Kamala Harris. I enjoyed serving with her in the Senate. I think given the time frame that we have, which is very different from what we were dealing with last time, that it's going to be an open process. Having that open process has a lot of long-term benefits, he said. Basically, hey, she's free to jump in the primary just like anybody else. If she comes out the winner, then she should be our nominee. The Hill reported that Heinrich discouraged former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton from running again in 2020. Maybe some of them will do the same this time with Kamala Harris. Senator Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut said Harris was a good candidate, but questioned whether she was the best candidate. He said, I think she's a potential candidate. There were a good many reasons that she lost, some beyond her control, but she's a strikingly attractive and effective candidate and public official, he said. The question would be whether she's the best candidate, and there will be a lot of debate about that question, he said. There are a couple others who are actively talking about it as well. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Gavin Newsom of California, of course, are both said to be considering runs in 2028. We know who's not going to be running for Senate in Georgia next year. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, who had been considered one of the favorites, front runner, says he will not run for the Senate. This was a massive blow to Republicans who were hoping the governor would run against Democrat Jon Ossoff. The two-term governor, who cannot run for re-election in 2026 because of term limits, explained that being on the ballot is not the right decision for me and my family. He said, I spoke with President Trump and Senate leadership earlier today and expressed my commitment to work alongside them to ensure we have a strong Republican nominee who can win next November and ultimately be a conservative voice in the U.S. Senate who will put hardworking Georgians first. That was in a statement issued yesterday afternoon. Kemp's decision could allow Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene an easier path to a general election matchup against Ossoff. She is considered one of the candidates as well. Greene views her chances in the GOP primary more favorably without Kemp, the Daily Caller reported last month. Yet the MAGA Congresswoman, Miss Green, known for all sorts of ideas, could have a more difficult time winning over moderates, according to some polling that's been done. Cobb County GOP Chair Jason Shepard told Politico, "It's like, wow, not necessarily the news we wanted to hear," referring to Brian Kemp bowing out, of course, and seemingly giving it to Marjorie Taylor Greene. We got to win that seat, folks. We can't allow Jon Ossoff to keep that Senate seat. So if you're listening in Georgia today, give us some ideas. Who else other than Brian Kemp who says he's out? Now, Greene managed to get 37% support against Ossoff's 54% in a recent Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Kemp edged out the Democrat with 49% to 46%. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is coming from behind, but you got to consider that now that Brian Kemp's name is off of the list, she might do better in a poll against Ossoff. Showings like this help make Kemp the GOP's number one recruit for Georgia, as National Republican Senatorial Committee Chairman Tim Scott, our senator from South Carolina, said back in January. I don't know. Will the party rally around Marjorie Taylor Greene? Can she get the enthusiasm that Brian Kemp seemed to be getting with the idea that he had been a popular two-term governor? He's still popular in Georgia. He could raise the money. He'd be a good candidate. And we need to see it. But you got to understand, too, that when he says, hey, it's not good for me, it's not good for my family, it's going to be a tough race. It's going to be an expensive race. It's going to be a nasty race, I'm sorry to say. Mr. Kemp's electoral record was very encouraging for Republicans. He first won the governorship in 2018 midterms, was reelected, of course, in 2022. Both of those years were good for Democrats. Kemp was primaried by former Senator David Perdue, who had President Trump's support because they haven't had the best relationship in over the years. And he still beat him. He beat David Perdue even with Donald Trump's endorsement. So that kind of shows you how strong Kemp is. Now, of course, the GOP is going to have to look elsewhere. And maybe it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. What do you think about Marjorie Taylor Greene? I wish we had a poll set up for today, but I don't. But you can email me. You can text me. Joey@joeyhudson.com. You can leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY. Is Marjorie Taylor Greene the next best candidate behind Brian Kemp? Can she take that Senate seat back from Jon Ossoff? I mean, Jon Ossoff wasn't supposed to win to begin with. You may recall, and it seems like a long time ago because it was, you may recall, though, people were just stunned when we lost those two GOP Senate seats. Nobody ever expected the GOP to lose those Senate seats. So we got to win them back. We need those two. We need those two votes. Now, of course, Ossoff is up next year. We're going to have to wait a couple more years to take a shot at the other seat. But this is probably going to be one of our best shots at getting that seat back. And it may be Marjorie Taylor Greene's to win. There's another seat, too. Michigan is being closely watched by the Senatorial Committee, too. It's held by Senator Gary Peters, who is also retiring. So if we can pick up Georgia, pick up Michigan, add to our majority in the U.S. Senate, we're going to be better suited to be able to support President Donald Trump's agenda. For those of you in upstate South Carolina over in the Travelers Rest area, one of the hot issues has been the proposed hotel on Paris Mountain, or at the foot of Paris Mountain, I should be clear. The proposal to build what was called a luxury hotel on a ridge at the bottom of Paris Mountain evidently is a dead issue for now. The building proposal has unraveled after losing a crucial committee vote with the city council. The city's Planning and Development Committee voted against advancing the Divine Group's annexation and rezoning request for our 40-acre property on Altamont Road to the full city council. So for now, it looks like that deal is dead. City council members cited concerns over environmental harm and the potential for irreversible change to the forested mountain, which is dotted with single-family homes. Now, the Divine Group said in a statement after yesterday's meeting that it was disappointed with the committee's decision, but it also doubled down on a commitment to build on the site. Now, here's the thing. It's been interesting to watch this as a lot of people have come out of the woodwork opposing this. It's kind of comical at times when you see these types of proposed developments come up and people get all up in arms. Oh, it's going to ruin the mountain. Paris Mountain will never be the same. And these are from some people who would probably tell you they're conservative, probably tell you they're all for a free market. But they don't want that hotel there on property that someone is willing to sell to the developer, and the developer wants to build on it. Oh, they'll give you a whole list of reasons why it shouldn't happen. I've never had a lot of patience for this type of thing, because if someone has property they want to sell, someone is willing to buy that property, and in this case, they needed the city of Traverse Rest to annex it. They were in turn going to give the city some property, going to help them build a park for the area, which would have benefited the city. This hotel would have probably been good for the small town of Traverse Rest as well. Not a lot of hotels up there. Would help their tourism. But the neighborhood, but not just the neighborhood, people came from all around. I found it interesting in one of the early meetings that a lady was very vocal, very outspoken against this, how it was going to just destroy the mountain. When asked about where she lived, she didn't even live in the county. She didn't live in Greenville County. And this is how crazy these things get sometimes. But here's the thing. The CEO of Divine Group, Krut Patel, had previously said that the group was considering building apartments, which, by the way, is allowed under the existing zoning. They don't have to ask permission from anybody to build apartments. So you go from what appeared to be a nice-looking hotel to now some apartments that they can't stop. The statement issued by the developer says, "We remain fully committed to developing our property and look forward to detailing our next steps soon." You know, I'm not so sure they're not going to double down and just do it out of spite now. I don't think they really wanted to build apartments there because they wanted the hotel. But these residents close by who have protested and appear to have won out, they may wish later down the road that they had that hotel. It's just crazy that people get this up in arms over a development like this. Have you ever thought about what you'd do if you won a Powerball jackpot? I suspect many of you, if not most of us, have at one time or the other. You know, I occasionally will buy a lottery ticket when it's really up there, like, you know, 100 million, 200 million, 300 million. What was it? Got up to like $1 billion one time last year. I think I bought one for that one. But I've never really had any expectation that I'd win. But I have thought about it. I thought about what would I do if I won $100 million. Would I tell anybody? I don't think I would. I've always told Peg that if we won the lottery, nobody would ever know it. I don't want anybody to know. Well, that's not the case with one winner just recently. A Kentucky man recently won a $167.3 million Powerball jackpot. Now, he may not be broke, but he did end up behind bars in Florida just 3 days after winning this huge jackpot. So here's the story. According to an arrest warrant filed by the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, 50-year-old James Farthing got into a fight with another guest at the Tradewinds Resort in St. Pete Beach shortly after 11 p.m. last week on Tuesday. The new multimillionaire then proceeded to make things worse for himself. What did he do? Well, when he was ordered by law enforcement officers to turn around and place his hands behind his back, he refused to do so. He attempted to run out of the hotel. He was also accused of punching a victim in the face with a closed fist during the argument. Deputies ultimately arrested Mr. Farthing, as well as his girlfriend, Jacqueline Fightmaster. Fightmaster. Now, that's irony, isn't it? Both of these folks were charged with disorderly intoxication. Now, surprise, 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 that they were intoxicated. Farthing spoke to a TV station in Louisville after winning the lottery the previous Saturday. Despite winning, Farthing remains in custody because of a parole violation stemming from a prior incident in Kentucky while his girlfriend was bonded out. So it appears that this guy was wanted for a parole violation when he won the lottery and was on TV, but nobody realized who it was at the time. It took this fight in Florida to land him in jail. As I was kind of perusing articles on Powerball winners, I ran across a CNN article in 2022 that made the ridiculous claim that a recent Powerball, it was the $2 billion payout, was a form of systemic racism that targets poor black and brown communities across America. I don't know what that has to do with the Powerball, but CNN seemed to think it did. I digress. According to the Powerball website, Mr. Farthing, back to Florida, the guy who's in jail, bought a $2 ticket from a gas station in Georgetown, Kentucky. After hitting all the numbers, the man and his mother, Linda Grizzle, made Kentucky history with the $167.3 million jackpot prize, the largest ever awarded in the bluegrass state. So who does this? Who wins a life-changing ticket like this? And I'm assuming it's a life-changing ticket. And then they go to Florida. I'm sure they had gone down to celebrate the winnings, and they get arrested. I'll bet that Mr. Farthing and his girlfriend, let's just say they probably aren't exactly Mensa members. I may get in trouble saying that. Wow. I genuinely hope that Mr. Farthing and Jacqueline Fightmaster have learned a valuable lesson or two since winning the Powerball just 3 days later. And I hope they have some good help, some good financial advice from somebody who will help them better manage their jackpot winnings than it appears they manage their personal lives. I don't know. Am I being too judgmental here? Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Text me as well. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. On our guest line, the newly re-elected chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party, Drew McKissick. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Man, I'm doing well this morning. How are you?
I am wonderful. Well, you had a somewhat busy weekend. A lot of people gathering in Columbia for our state convention. Take a minute and just sort of give us an overview of what happened on Saturday.
Well, this is our annual state convention where the state party elects its leadership. We get state chairman, first vice chairman, second vice chairman, third vice chairman. And, it's the culmination of the reorganization process where we're putting together essentially the campaign team, from the precinct level, the county level, and then the state level that will go forward for our next election cycle. So essentially, the party puts together its organization structure, campaign structure for the next campaign about 18 months before the campaign begins.
Yep.
That then gives us time to work on things like candidate recruitment, and all those organization and all those great things we need to do to win next year.
Sure.
So that was great. We had, I think about 1,300 or give or take delegates and alternates in Columbia and at the Columbia Convention Center. And for about 4 hours or so on Saturday. And, at the end of the day, we reconfirmed essentially the leadership that we have now, which, we've got a good track record. We've got the best winningest record for Republicans in South Carolina in 150 years. I think that's pretty good. I think delegates decided that they would like to continue that winning record. Like I say, if you don't win, you can't govern.
Yeah.
And making sure that you do the things you need to do to put a winning team on the field and get out the most Republican votes so you can win the most races is the only way we change policy.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing, again, at a record pace.
Yeah. You won with a pretty big majority. Former upstate Senator Lee Bright and one other candidate was nominated as well. So, as you mentioned, now you move forward. You pretty much have your team. I'm understand. There could be changes here and there, tweaked here and there. You've got a new executive committee. Some counties have new leadership. So now it's just building for more victories next year. Let's talk a minute though about there was a bit of controversy with the decision not to seat the delegates from Pickens County. As you can imagine, there's a lot of speculation on social media and people talking on why that was done. Take a minute and explain the process of why and how this decision was made.
So first off, when it comes to a state convention, you've got a process of credentialing delegates, seating delegates. And in other words, to decide who is legitimately a delegate to any convention. And you have two different mechanisms that are part of that. First off is the credentials committee. So there's one delegate from each county in the state, 46 counties, so you have 46 members of the credentials committee. Their task is to look over all of the credentials from their fellow counties and look over all those delegates and then determine jointly what is accurate, who is legally part of the convention, has everything been complied with, et cetera. And I have been a part of, I counted it up the other day, I think it's 19 state conventions since 1989 or something like that. This is the first time I can remember, to my knowledge anyway, an entire county not being seated.
Yeah.
And I can't recall or anybody else remembering any times where that happened either. So the committee looks over those delegates first and decides whether or not to seat someone. And then they put together a report and they send that report to the convention floor. And the convention decides whether to confirm or to edit, change, amend the credential committee report. In this particular case with Pickens County, there were someone who was a delegate from Pickens. This person was actually a delegate who came forward with a complaint that the Pickens delegation should not be seated because of violations of state party rules going all the way back to the reorganization process, culminating in their county convention in terms of who could and couldn't participate in the Pickens County reorganization process. You had a chairman there who arbitrarily capped how many people could be a part of the Pickens County convention and then turned away delegates at the door, claiming that there were space limitations. He claimed that the venue could only hold 400 people. And so we're not going to allow more people to sign up and be part of the process. The only entity that can limit how many people can participate in a county party organization is the state committee when we choose which primary to use the base delegate, allotments on. Pickens County's limit, I believe, was 752. And he tried to limit it to 400. Obviously, that's a little bit of a problem. And so a lot of people there were disenfranchised, and they put a complaint together. And it was compelling to the point where 34 members of the Credentials Committee voted against seating Pickens on the basis of that evidence. I think 6 voted in favor. So 34 to 6.
Yeah.
That's pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. So Pickens, what's next for Pickens? I mean, do they have to start over, or will their executive committeeman be recognized? Will they need to elect another chairman?
That's a good question. That's up to the executive committee itself. Our state committee will meet in June, and I'm sure that's going to be on the top of the list of questions they're going to have to take up because, essentially that complaint also comes to the state executive committee as well. Yeah. The Credentials Committee for the convention just only deals strictly with the seating of delegates, so they don't have power beyond that. But the questions you just asked, those matter for the state executive committee itself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the good news is that it's all behind us now. The state convention was held. Leadership was you were reelected. So you mentioned earlier. Now the job is to start looking towards next year's elections. If someone was not at their precinct meeting, that were not a delegate at the convention this past weekend, but they still want to be involved. They still want to be involved in winning next year. What's the next step for them with the South Carolina Republican Party?
Well, first thing they should do is go online, scgop.com, and sign up. Get on our email list so we can let you know when things are going on in your area that you need to get involved in. A lot of different things that county parties do and activities they offer. Everybody's not interested in doing the same thing. Our job is sort of to put the buffet table of options and activities out there for folks, whether it's identifying voters, whether it's being ready to help candidates, whether it's help organizing in the county party. There's a lot of different things to do, but first thing is you need to know about them. So go to scgop.com, sign up. Again, I put it this way. Politics is about people. Politics is spelled P-E-O-P-L-E. If you got no people, you got no organization. You got no organization means no campaign. No campaign means no victory. So we need you. We need people to be a part of this so we can do what we need to do to win elections next year. We got an open governor's race, probably an open attorney general's race. Just go down the ballot.
Yeah.
It's critical that every county, everywhere, all along the state, do its job to turn out Republicans next year so we can keep our constitutional offices.
Yep. Drew McKissick, always a pleasure. Congratulations on your win over the weekend, and we'll move forward for victory in 2026.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, man. You have a great day.
That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.